witchy babes, it is Marky, and welcome back to my channel. Get ready for...
Hello witchy babes, it's Marky, welcome back to my channel. Today/tonight, depending on when you're watching this, is not only Friday the 13th, but it is the full moon in Pisces. Today's video is part 3 in my Witches Mean Business series, and today I am sitting down with Reed, the woman behind Emerald Lotus Divination. Not only does she create amazing tarot spreads that she shares for free, she's also an intuitive tarot reader herself.
Well, my name is Reed, and like you said, I'm the owner of Emerald Lotus Divination. I'm an Aquarius Sun, Capricorn Moon, Taurus Rising, and I live in Vancouver, BC, Canada currently, and I am 26 years old.
Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, and we're just going to jump right into the questions. So the first one is, what's your spiritual beliefs? Do you follow any specific path or religion, or?
I'm actually somebody who has always been super against labeling myself in any way. So I have never actually felt called to define my spiritual practice at all. So really it's just like a melting pot, mishmash, jumbled mess of things that I've learned in my life that I can feel I relate to, that I feel like my compass can guide me toward, and I feel called to practice, or something that resonates with me. But generally, no, I don't have no ties.
Awesome. No, totally understandable, and I can respect that. When I first got started, that was the last thing I wanted to have to do, was pick a label or slap that on. Yeah. So it's nice to see fellow people who try to kind of like avoid the slapping of the label on and everything else. So next, what age were you, or was there any certain person that like kind of influenced you, or a certain life event to be as spiritual as you are?
There was a few triggering points throughout my childhood, especially. My mom is really into mediumship. She doesn't actually work doing mediumship, but she likes to go see mediums, see psychics. So she would always take me when I was younger, and I always really enjoyed it. And whenever I would get a reading done, I would always know a lot of the information that they were telling me beforehand. I felt very connected to them, but I didn't actually ever consider myself one of them at all throughout that time. So it wasn't until I was about to graduate high school when I met a shaman actually who started doing some dream work with me, and that really just opened up my eyes to my spiritual journey. And so after that, it was like full force ahead.
That's awesome. See, and I think it's really cool to hear like your guys is like how you guys got into what you do and what you believe in and everything. Because for me, I mean, it was like I had nothing in my childhood. It just kind of was like boom, one day I was into it.
Oh, cool. That's so interesting.
Yeah, like I had people in my life that were secretly more in like the closet with it that I didn't know at the time, but like now as an adult that I'm open with it, they're like, well, that's funny because... So where is your number one happy place, or where you feel most grounded, whether it's doing tarot work or meditations, spell or rituals, if that's what you like to do?
The place that I feel the most grounded is definitely in my home, wherever I'm living. And right now I really do like the space that I've built. And so I feel super comfortable and confident doing my work, and I like doing it from home. Whenever I do readings, I love to do it in my own space, so I can, set the tone. I can cleanse it after, I can cleanse before, and it just feels good. But other than that, I love nature. So if I ever have an opportunity to be outside, feet in the grass, near some trees, near some water, near some mountains, whatever, I'll take that too.
That's awesome. See, and you mentioned that you live in Vancouver, BC. I'm in Vancouver, Washington. And I don't know if it's the same for your Vancouver as my Vancouver, but it rains like, I want to say like 80% of the year here.
Oh, same.
So we can relate. And that's why I'm one of those two. I like to do everything like right here where we are right now. It's where I'm happiest. I feel safest. And, you don't have to feel like you're trying to impress anybody. You can be kicking back in a t-shirt and sweats, and nobody has to know it's what you're up to.
Totally. I love that. Yeah.
So what inspired you to start Emerald Lotus Divination and creating tarot spreads that I think really generously, and I think is amazing that you share with everybody for free?
Thank you. Yeah. Well, actually, it came about as a total accident. I was living alone at the time, and I've never lived alone before, and it was one of my greatest fears before I lived alone. I was like terrified of being alone, so then I was drawn to live alone. It was one of those things, like spiritually, I just felt really called to it. So while I was alone, I just decided that I should start a blog, just writing about my thoughts, because I didn't have anyone around to bounce ideas off of. So I thought maybe finding online community, seeing what was up with that. And as soon as I started my blog, I got some feedback on it. I liked it. I enjoyed it. But then I actually wish I could remember it better, because when I tell the story, I'm sort of like, like, I know one day I was doing a tarot spread for myself, and I was actually like, sometimes I just read the cards and sometimes I have a spread that I set up. And this time I had a spread that I set up, and I guess I wrote it down and I journaled about it. And then I thought I should share this on my blog because people are into the spirituality. That's what I was already talking about. And I just ended up sharing that one. And then from that, I just started sharing more and more. And at the time, that was in like 2016. And I think there weren't as many people making tarot spreads and giving them away for free online. I know there was some like associations and stuff that did it, but I tried to do some research back, I remember, and I didn't really see too many people offering it for free. And I noticed how thankful and happy people were that I was sharing it for free. And I figured, as long as I'm doing it for myself, why not just share it for other people? And I felt it also helped keep me accountable, because I was having to make all these spreads every week or a couple a week. And so it made me really want to work on my own path so that I could find spreads that were meaningful to me, but also to other people. So not only did I help other people, but it helped me help myself. So it was a mutually beneficial thing, even though it's a free resource.
Yeah, well, and see, like, I know I personally, like, I found you, I think it was 2 years ago on Instagram, and I am one of those people to this day where I struggle really hard to create my own spreads. Can read the cards totally fine, have a great time doing the readings, but I can just not, unless it's just like you said, going with your intuition and you're just flipping them down, then that's fine. But I have found that your spreads are extremely helpful, because you have covered basically every category that anybody could want to know about with a reading, like different aspects of relationships or the elements of astrological. The list goes on. Everybody needs to go to your website, which I will put a link down below for, of course. But what is your favorite tarot deck?
I think my favorite tarot deck is the borderless Rider-Waite deck. It's so boring, so simple, but it's just my favorite one. It's the one, every time I do a reading for someone, I look through all my decks, and like some of them are so pretty and nice, and I'm like, ooh, I should do that one. And then every single time I'm like, nah. I just need Rider-Waite, the borderless one for me. I love it.
That was my first deck. Mine's not borderless, but my first deck was Rider-Waite, and that is the one that I recommend to everybody, even if whether you are starting or you've already been into it, you'd have never owned it before. Like, it's just, I feel like it's one of the crucial ones because it's like one of the originals.
Totally, yeah.
Yeah. But when did you discover and start learning to read tarot?
Oh, I can't remember exactly when I got my first deck. It was sometime in my teens, late teens maybe. And I started to read for myself kind of with a book, and like did slowly work through it. And I was like, I felt like I was actually gaining something from it, but I also just felt like I'm never going to learn all this. This is so much. I don't want to do this kind of thing. So I put it aside for a few years, and then I ended up like at the exact same time that I went to a spiritual workshop where it was supposed to be about intuition. We also did an oracle reading on other people, and I just connected with that. Yeah, it was cool. I connected with it so much, and I gave some great readings, and I felt like people were happy with them, and I was happy, and I was like, oh, this reading card thing is pretty cool, but maybe I'll stick with oracle cards. So that's actually what I started with. And then really soon after that, one of my good friends, I was hanging out with him, and he told me that he had gotten the Thoth deck or Thoth deck. People pronounce it in a million different ways.
Yeah, I was actually just listening to a podcast, Nicole Barone, and they mentioned the Thoth deck. Or I pronounce it Thoth, so I'm at the same page as you.
Yeah, I have no idea. But the Thoth deck, he had that one. And I was looking at it, and I was like, this is a really cool deck. And then a week or so later, he surprised me with my own version of it, because he was like, you seem really into it, and I wanted to gift it to you. So I really thank him, because when I got that deck, it was just at the perfect time. And I was just like, I want to learn all about this, figure this out, and like learn this system and see what it has to offer. So that's actually the deck that I started with and the system that I learned with first. And so that one will always hold a special place. It's hard for me not to say that one's my favorite, but I think it is the Rider-Waite now. But yeah, it's a good one.
Well, that's really cool. I've never gone to any kind of like spiritual workshop or anything. I want to when my kids are older and I can get the time to, but I mean, that's really neat that you guys got to do that. And the fact you started with oracle is really like cool too. Mm-hmm. But do you have a process that you like, whether it's a ritual, meditation, or like even just like a day of relaxing that helps kind of inspire your like spreads and stuff that you create?
The spreads are so random. They've come to me at like the most random times. Every single one has its own story, I swear. It's like sometimes I'll be in the shower and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like running out of the shower and I'm like, we need to do this one. And like sometimes I'll be sleeping and I wake up and I'm like, oh wow, I did a reading in my sleep and like this is what I want to do. And a lot of the time though, I would say that it's based on my specific issues or issues that people close to me are having. So if I'm hanging out with a friend and they're talking about something going on in their life and I'm like, oh, that's sounds like a real problem. So I'll kind of like focus it around their problem and think about how I would help them. And some of them I've sent them their spreads after and I've been like, you know, you talked about this, here's a spread if you want to read it for yourself, for my friends that read. But yeah, and then other times it's someone will send me a message and be like, hey, do you have a spread for this? And I'm like, no, I don't, but that sounds awesome. And then I'll just, it's a really intuitive process for sure. Like it just requires like complete blank mind and just like allowing the thoughts to come in, and then if they just come and we go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I was always so curious because I mean, like I said, you are super creative and you've come up with such amazing ones. And I think it's awesome that you're taking it from not only your own personal experiences or things that you are wanting to seek guidance with, but your friends and family that inspire you too.
Yeah, totally. Even just on Instagram, I'll see people have a post and like it'll be really meaningful to me. And I'm like, oh, that could be a tarot spread. Like just anywhere. There's inspiration everywhere for sure.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've heard painters, musicians. I feel like that's like everybody from a creative aspect or like with a passion. They get inspiration at the randomest places, times, and people.
Totally, yes.
So this is more of a really simple and random one, but what's your favorite crystal? Or crystals, if it's too hard to answer, your top 3.
Okay, top 3. I'll go with that one.
Everyone says for the top 3. That's why I offer it. I'm like, I know I couldn't pick one, so.
It's so hard. Top 3, one of them is definitely lepidolite, which is really good for anxiety, which I actually suffer from. So it's one of my favorite stones. I love putting it under my pillow, taking it with me when I travel. It's just one of the best ones. It's such a feel-good one. I love green opal. It's good for the heart chakra. Such a good crystal. I don't see it that often. I don't know if it's just where I live or like the universe is just hiding it from me, but I'm always looking for it because I want to gift it to like everybody I know, because I'm just like, oh, we could all just use some green opal. It feels so good, but I never find it. I only have one piece of it and I treasure it. And then the other one that I love is septarian, which is a good grounding crystal, and it's has awesome energy too.
Oh, that's great. See, I like asking this question. Like I said, I know it's random and kind of simple, but it's fun to me because I almost 99% of the time do not know which ones you're talking about because I don't own them yet. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to Google that later. And I think it's great for other people too. And the anxiety one, I feel like a lot of people that are intuitive and more open-minded like that, I feel like it's just part of the sensitivity as far as that like energy, vibes, everything goes. I think that it's just, it can be so overwhelming sometimes that anxiety is what, unfortunately, we get a symptom of.
So true, yes.
So I can't believe already the last question, but what do you like most about tarot? Like, and it can be multiple things if you don't have just one.
It's hard. I think the thing that I love most about it is how there's a book for the Thoth deck that says it's the mirror of the soul, and like those words and tarot to me just go hand in hand. It really is a mirror to the soul, and you can just learn so much about your current situation, future situation, past situation. It just opens up your mind in so many ways, and especially reading for other people, seeing them make those connections and seeing how it really hits them, and they can really feel it. It goes so deep, and to see that, and then to see people making change in their lives based off the cards and the things that they've learned from them, it truly is so magical. Even if, even for people that I know that don't believe in like the whole magical thing and like the witchy thing, they're not into that. Even from like a total psychological perspective of just, self-care and mindfulness and understanding, it's just, it's such a powerful tool. And I'm so grateful that it came into my life.
Yeah, and I have to say, I agree with especially the helping other people, because I've had this conversation with multiple other people who read cards. It's so mind-blowing and eye-opening when you do a reading for somebody and it necessarily it could make absolutely no sense to you at all. Like, you could be reading it going, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to keep on going because this is what I know from it. And then they open up to you, and it's kind of like you break down their wall of insecurity and their doubt, and they just go, oh my gosh, okay, blah, 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 blah. And I even had one of my now regular clients that comes to me for readings. I had her, well, you won't judge me, right? If I like open, and I was like, absolutely not. Like, I've been there. I have to go out and get readings every once in a while too, because I'll try to do it for myself. And it just isn't happening. Like, the cards are like, no, woman, you're not helping yourself today.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. It even gave me goosebumps when you said that. Yeah, just seeing people just crack open and being vulnerable and just accepting things is it's such a beautiful process. And to be able to facilitate it, it feels like you're just like, wow. And especially, like you said, when you have no idea what you're reading and you're just like, I might be way off here. And then they're like, no, actually. And you're just like, wow, okay.
Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you hit that bell before you leave. Please hit subscribe to show the love.